From his studios in New York, it's time for Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Here's your host, Dan Tortora.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Always a pleasure to have you here on the broadcast Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora proudly brings you where sports meets life. Sports is that vehicle that I use to drive faith, comedy, honesty, humility, community, and so on and so forth to you every single day. If I can leave you with a smile on your face, it's maybe a little bit bigger than the one you had, or maybe it's a smile that had to become one from something else on your face that wasn't as happy. That's what we do here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Love speaking with the people that we speak with and always hoping that the positive message comes through. Marvin Graves is our Monday morning quarterback. He's had a couple weeks off. The tryptophan and the turkey must have taken it to Marvin, and now he's with us. So, Marvin, we're happy that you're out of the Thanksgiving hangover, so to speak, and we're happy to have you back.
Great to be back, Dan. I always look forward to doing the show, get to talk Syracuse football and other topics. So, sorry that I missed the last couple of weeks, but we finished 9-3 and. Bowl eligible. We definitely going to a nice bowl game playing against a really good opponent and a familiar opponent.
And that's and speaking here with Marvin Graves, our Monday morning quarterback here on a Wednesday this week. Ad-libbing a little bit. We'll be back on Monday from here on out. And Marvin Graves, Syracuse Orange quarterback, alum, and did some great things in his time at Syracuse and is still in the record books in the top 3-4 for a lot of these pieces. And Eric Dungy had just passed him in one of the pieces of history just to show how long Marvin Graves has stayed within that ranker and in the top three still in those respects when you look at, total career yards and so on and so forth. So, Marvin, when you go back to your history of being at Syracuse and your connection to this storied program, it's been a long time since they've had success. They're playing West Virginia. I want to start there because we all know that Syracuse, West Virginia is a big-time rivalry, the Schwartzwalder Trophy. There's so much to this. They don't like each other. West Virginia constantly talks trash, and the last time that Syracuse played them in the Pinstripe Bowl, all they did was talk trash, and Syracuse said, all we did was beat you not once, not twice, but 3 times in a row. Here is another opportunity to go up against each other. Bring me into your initial broad-scope thoughts of having West Virginia back on the Syracuse map.
I think it's a great matchup. Number one, you got 2 of the top quarterbacks to me in the country, 2 offenses that play fast and score a lot of points. So it'll be a fun situation for the fans. To both universities travel very well when it comes to bowl games, and I just think this is a great matchup. I think that this is a rivalry. So I think the bowl committee did a great job of pairing, these 2 storied universities up in a bowl game. So I think it's a great situation. But of course, we're the better team, and they do most of the talking, and we do most of the hitting. So that's what I expect to see on game day.
And why is it like that? Well, West Virginia really likes to talk, and that's what guys like Jerome Smith and whatnot were telling me about the last game, is that they love to tell Syracuse how Syracuse is insignificant. What is that? And was the trash talk from West Virginia there when you played them?
Yeah, it was there. But it just made for better competition. We had some really tough games against West Virginia. I lost against them my senior year. I think it was my junior year. We had, the big bench clearing brawl down there. Those guys were hitting me late, tried to let the referees know, and I kind of lost my cool. And fortunately wasn't thrown out the game. Chris Gedney made a great catch, and we won that game down there. And it's just been a rivalry for a long, long time, even before I got to Syracuse. So, I'm all for it. I just think, some guys talk, and my thing is, if you talk, can you go out and back it up? And Syracuse has been down for a while, so I think West Virginia has maintained and probably had better seasons than we have. So I don't have a problem with them doing the talking. But, now we're back, and this is one way, to see who's better is to actually play each other. So once the ball kicks off, we'll see what happens.
And when we look at the rivalry between West Virginia and Syracuse, the largest margin of victory in this rivalry is 45-0 on Syracuse's side back in 1960, 43-0 in 1993 from West Virginia. The longest win streak for West Virginia was 8 games in a row from 2002 to 2009. Longest win streak for Syracuse in the rivalry was 5 in a row from 1977 to 1981. The current win streak goes to Syracuse. They've won 3 in a row from 2010 to 2012. And Syracuse has 33 wins in the head-to-head matchup with West Virginia, who has 27. So Syracuse owning the head-to-head, 33 wins to 27 on the side of West Virginia. Just, when you hear that, you hear those numbers, speaking here with Marvin Graves, that Syracuse has the best of the overall record, and their win streak is also on the side of Syracuse. Just what you think about that, knowing that Syracuse in the most recent history has gotten the best of West Virginia, and overall, including in your history, has more wins than West Virginia does.
I just think it goes to show that when you're on top, and I'm just talking this rivalry, the team that wants to be on top does most of the talking. I think the record and the win streak shows that we do less talking, and we actually come out and produce on game day. So, again, I think this is what sports is about. Again, I don't have a problem with, guys talking, and I just think it makes, it brings out the best in coaching staffs. It brings out the best in the fans. It brings out the best in the players. And, guys are really out there leaving it on the field. So, I think it's a really good thing to have a team that's gunning for you, and you go out there and shut them down.
That coming from Marvin Graves, Syracuse Orange quarterback alum, speaking with us here this morning. We typically have our Monday morning quarterback, obviously, on Monday, and he's here on Wednesday this week, speaking on the Syracuse-West Virginia rivalry. To go back to your games against West Virginia, Marvin, just what you could say to go a little bit deeper into it, just some of those biggest moments. I know you mentioned some stuff, but other things that you remember about the rivalry with West Virginia while you were at Syracuse as quarterback.
I just remember the games being very hard-hitting. There was a lot of trash talking. It's almost like a divisional game in the NFL. When you're so familiar with a team and you play them all the time, and you're just so used to each other, and you play a lot of the same teams, and that's just where rivalries are born. Syracuse, West Virginia is no different than the Bears, Packers, the Cowboys, Redskins. Games like that's what this game is. It is a rivalry. West Virginia has been a solid program for a long time. I have a lot of respect for them, and I think they do have a lot of respect as well for Syracuse. But this is what sports is about. It's about some of the best teams playing. Sometimes teams don't like each other. That's good too. But at the end of the day, it's sports, and for the fans, this is what you want. You want, that it's like a boxing. It's like a boxing match where the guys spend all this time training and trash talking, and then it's a build up to the game. So very hard hitting games. Both teams were well prepared. Just the type of games that you really want to play in, and they brought the best out in me. I'll definitely say that. It's one of the teams and one of the rivalries that, when you showed up and you have your game plan together and, things don't work, you have to make your adjustments, and at the end of the day, you really just want to win by 1 point. So, again, I'm very glad that, this is the bowl game, and, I think both fan bases will travel well, and, I think it'll be a great time in Florida.
And, here on Wake Up Call, we accurately, and I want to thank my sources close to the situation for their help in this, we accurately, a couple weeks before, prior to the announcement, had Syracuse, West Virginia. We had them in the bowl game and then at Camping World, and then Syracuse, West Virginia coming with that as well as part of the package that we thought would be the best situation. So this is the reality of the bowl. It's going to happen. It's in Orlando, Florida. There was some talk that Syracuse could go back to the Pinstripe Bowl, and I said no offense to the Pinstripe Bowl, but you win 9 games, you deserve to go south if you're a team here like Syracuse up north. Just what you think about the ultimate decision to put them in Orlando. It's not a New Year's Six Bowl, but it's pretty darn close at December 28th.
I think it's great for the players and the coaches, in my opinion. I think the Pinstripe Bowl is a good bowl, but I mean we're from East. I agree with you. These guys deserve to, after a long, tough season, a successful season. I think they deserve to go to Florida and spend a week or so down there, and the camaraderie that these guys will have, the memories that these guys will have just with the week alone. And if you actually come out with a victory, it's just something that you'll just never forget. I just really believe it was the right move. I think the Pinstripe Bowl is a good bowl, but I feel like that's more of a home game for Syracuse, and I just feel like this was the best decision and a good decision to send both of these two-story universities south.
And to have this opportunity that Syracuse has moving forward, you and I spoke early on in the season, and you said you believe that this team could win 11 games the way that they were playing. I had them at 9-3 at the end of it all. I said 9-3 makes the most sense to me. At the beginning of the season, before the season started, I had them at 5-7, 6-6, and then a few weeks in, we spoke when I was doing one of my shows from down in Florida, and you said they can win up to 10, 11 games. I had them at 9-3. They got to 9-3. You and I both were correct that this team was trending upward. Just what you could say and how it feels to be an alum who thought they could and then realizes they can, because we were just a few weeks into the season when you and I had that conversation, and now it's a reality.
Sure. Well, when you follow the program, and you've definitely followed it closer than I have, but I followed the program. I followed the coaches coming in. I followed, the players and just, what's been going on. I just got a sense of Dino Babers. I met him one time, and just being up there and being around some of the guys and, watching the game, and then this year here coming up, it was just more of not only a biased feeling, but it was a gut feeling that we were heading in the right direction. And I just think the work that was put in, it showed. Dino had signature wins every year, the first 2 years. This year speaks for itself. Really could have been, let's say, between Clemson and Pitt, if we could have won one of those games, 2 close competitive games, this team was very close to being undefeated. So it was more of a gut feeling that after everything that we've been through, you could kind of see the tide started to turn. And I just think with the parity in college football, we've been through some rough times, and I just don't feel like that those rough times last all the time. And I just feel like the staff was heading in the right direction, and that's pretty much why I just had that gut feeling that we really could do it.
Speaking here with Syracuse quarterback alum Marvin Graves, and on our predictions during the season that Syracuse could get to the point that they're at now to do what Marvin had is a potential 10 or 11 wins. I had them at 9-3, and they ended up at 9-3. So good stuff coming from our conversation before, and I need to make sure that we replay that for you all here on the broadcast in the very not too distant future here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. But Marvin, you and I have had so many conversations about this, and again, our belief in this team, our belief that how the season started really showed something, really did something. The last time Syracuse won 4 games in a row was back when you were quarterback in 1991. You and I had spoken about that before, but just hindsight 2020 and letting it sink in over the last few weeks, just what this team has shown you by doing things like that. Because when I go down the laundry list for you, first time Syracuse was 4-0 to start a season since you did it in 91. First time Syracuse has won at least 9 games in a season since 2001. First time Syracuse is ranked in the AP and the coaches poll together in 17 years. First time Syracuse has ever been ranked in the college football playoff poll. When you hear all of that, what does it say to you about where things are at right now?
It just says that we have the right guy at the helm. It says that, we have to make sure that, that guy is happy. And it says that the sky is the limit. I just think that, like I said, there's a lot of parity in college football. College football is a win now type of deal. And like I said, we've been through a lot. We've been through several coaches. We've been through a lot of disappointing seasons. And I just think that, when you have, if you're in the situation we're in now, you really have to start at the top. And I just think that we have the right guy at the helm. He's proving that his system works. He's proven that he can bring in, quality guys that can buy into the system. And he's built a team. And I think people really don't understand that word team, how important it is. Together, everybody achieves more. And I just feel like it starts at the top and it trickles down. And I think, Dino has done a good job along with the staff and the players as well, into buying in to what he's trying to accomplish. And I think, 9-3, says a lot. I mean, it's not easy to win college football games. And we know that over the past, decade or so at Syracuse, how we've struggled. So, I just think it's a great situation, and I just think we need to embrace it and get behind, this head coach and this coaching staff and, make sure that they have everything they need to continue to move forward.
And seeing what this coaching staff has done, do you believe that, watching 4-8 but a win over Virginia Tech in the top 25 and a team that went to the ACC championship game, and then 4-8 and a win over reigning national champion Clemson, and now 9-3, what are you seeing from Dino? Is this a fluke? Is this a one-hit wonder? Do you see the makings of something special? How do you look at it?
I see it as the makings of something special. I just believe that you don't get 9 wins in college football playing in the ACC. I think that his system is proving to work. I think he's showing that. He can get guys to buy into his system. It's one thing to go out there and coach and, put it on the chalkboard and see it on film, but when you actually get the guys actually going out on the field and producing, that's what coaching is about. It's not about, where Dino played and where else he coached and, his stats. It's about taking the group of guys that you have, implementing your system, and getting these guys, teaching these guys the system, and then they actually go out there and execute it. And if you look at the 12 games that we played this year, we fell short, very short on 2 games. So I think Dino is, and I've said it before, I just think he's a good coach. I want to say great, but I don't want to throw that out there right now. I want to say great because we've struggled so much at Syracuse, but I just think he's the right guy right now. I just think that, he's taken a Syracuse program that has been pretty bad, I'll say that, and kind of rallied the troops. And I just feel like if no one can see that, then you really don't want to win. I said, so it seems like he's a player coach. I like his demeanor. You see, he comes up when the players come off to the sideline. They're talking to each other. They're laughing sometimes. And that's just what you want. Because at the end of the day, we want to win games. But if you can't have fun doing it, then I just don't. I would play for Dino. I wish I could have played for Dino. And that's no disrespect to Coach McPherson or Pasqualoni, but if I could go back in time and play in this system, I think I would have a great time.
And what about being in this system? I mean, when you say I wish I could have played for Dino, what about what he's doing in the system and in some of the things you've spoken about with the culture are you really excited about that would make you want to come and be recruited by them and play for Dino Babers if you could do that right now?
I just think he just designs his plays and his scheme to his players' strengths. And those guys are able to actually just go out there and play football. They're not second-guessing. They're just going out there and playing football. And it just seems like it's more of a winning attitude right now. Like, winning is expected. It doesn't seem like we're hoping to win. It seems like we expect to win. And I can't say that for the past, 5 to 10 years previous to Dino being here.
So we see what Dino's been doing. We see this team at 9-3. We see Syracuse's successes. Eric Dungy came back in the game after going out against Notre Dame and having back spasms of being in the hospital. He finds his way back onto the field. Nobody, mum's the word on whether or not he was going to play. Allegedly late in the week in practice, he came out and just started getting after it and striking. Rex Culpepper said that he healed like Wolverine, and he has 6 touchdowns against Boston College on the road in that big-time rivalry game. The Syracuse wins 42-21. Dungy has 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns. Just what you could say about the young man to not only have the grit that he has that we have seen, but to have back spasms, to have never finished a regular season in Syracuse history that he's been there due to injury, and somehow find his way back onto the field, and not only on the field, but for 6 touchdowns to lead Syracuse to scoring double on Boston College and win that game on the road.
I mean, the guy's an ultimate competitor, man. Like, those are the type of guys that you want on your team. And, he could have easily, shut it down and said, I had a great career and, I broke some records. But, that guy is the ultimate teammate. He wanted to be out there with his guys. He wanted to, play in this big game. He wasn't afraid of the moment. And I just feel like, he's a guy, when he looks back on it, I believe that, and we all look back on it, we're going to mention Dungy's name for a long time because he is one of the reasons why this program is turned around at this point. And I think that he's setting the precedent for, the quarterbacks to come and the quarterbacks that follow and just the athletes that come, his toughness and his grit and his willingness to just lay his body on the line to win football games. You just couldn't ask for a better student athlete. And, he's the reason why, one of the main reasons why we're at 9-3 right now. And I definitely believe that, he also brought out the best in some other players by his toughness, by his grit. And I also believe that he made, the backup quarterback better. He made the backup quarterback confident that he can go in there and produce and help us win games like he did this year. So, Dungy will be remembered in Syracuse history for a long time, and it's well-deserved. And, again, this coaching staff and these players, they're the reason why this program is taking that turn back to where we know it could be. And, he's a legend at Syracuse, and he's not even done yet.
Well, and numbers-wise, Marvin, Dungy is going to be on that list with you, with Donovan McNabb, with Ryan Nassib. What does that say to you? I mean, do you feel like it's fair and it's right and it's good to put him in that company? Because that is the company that he is in. You are the company you keep, and right now in the record books, he's there with you, he's there with Donovan, and he's there with Ryan Nassib currently.
Hey, I mean, the proof is in the work. The numbers don't lie. You have to go out there and actually win ball games, and you have to put those stats up. Obviously, it's a team game, but, he took his position and ran with it at quarterback. Like, as an alumni, as a former quarterback at Syracuse, like, that's how you play the game. You play it with all your heart. You play tough. You lead by example. And, he deserves everything that has come his way. And, he should be in the record books. If that's what the numbers say, he should be there. But most importantly, like I said earlier, records are made to be broken. He'll be in the record books for a long time. But I think he set a standard, and he's a big part, which is very important. He's a big part of this program being turned around. And how many quarterbacks can say that?
And when you look at him and you look at, what he's done and what he's accomplished, I spoke with a few of the Syracuse fellow alumni as well about this. Do you believe that Dungey should get a look in the NFL? Is he an NFL quarterback? Is he an NFL player? What do you do if you are a general manager in the draft and Eric Dungey is still on the board?
Well, I really can't make that call. I think he's definitely a football player. I think he's the type of guy that you could at least bring to camp and just see what happens. I think there is, maybe a team or two that he probably can go and, sit on the bench and hold the clipboard and learn and possibly become, a quarterback down the road in the NFL. You also have the CFL, where you have a lot of players that have had, very good careers in the Canadian Football League. So I do think there's a place for him in professional sports if he chooses to play. Where that is, I don't really know. Everybody's looking for, this one specific type of quarterback, and he has to do this, and he has to be this tall. What they're not looking at is the intangibles and how tough, and this guy's a winner. And you can't measure that in a 40-yard dash or a bench press. So, I think he definitely can play professional football. It just depends on the team that would draft him or bring him in and how they would utilize him. You look at a guy like, can't think of his first name, but the kid down in New Orleans, Hill. Here's a guy that's playing some receiver. He's coming in, running some of the RPO stuff in New Orleans. So he's a guy that I can kind of compare Dungey to. So I do believe he can play NFL football because he's a winner, man. He's a winner. And, will he be a guy that sits in the pocket and throw? Who knows? You have to give him the opportunity. You have to coach him up. This guy's shown that he can win ball games. And he's shown that he's tough. He's shown that he's going to lay it on the line for his team. And those are the kind of guys that I want in any organization that I have.
That coming from Marvin Graves, Syracuse Orange quarterback alum. Marvin, finishing up here before I let you go, to go to your Redskins. I know you're a big Redskins fan and you're in that area. They allegedly had brought in Colin Kaepernick and then allegedly made the decision that he didn't fit. Colin Kaepernick, to everybody that thinks he wasn't or he was, or maybe it's true or maybe it's not true, it seems pretty evident that he's been blackballed from the NFL. How do you look at the situation, and what do you think about the most recent move of the Redskins to allegedly bring him in and then think that maybe he's not a good fit for the team with the injury to Alex Smith?
Well, I don't know if we actually brought him in. I think we brought him up. And I haven't really done any research on it, but I did hear some comments that Jay Gruden basically was saying that if we would have brought him in week 1, he would be okay. It's week 14. The guy's been blackballed. this whole thing with Colin Kaepernick, I think it just shows where we are as a society as far as race relations. I think it shows, how, if a person of color stands up for what's right, how they're treated, it's like we want to keep it hush-hush. It just shows that where we are as a country, I think it's pretty sad that we are still this way, that certain people can speak and do any kind of speaking engagements or anything that promotes the NFL as long as you're a good old boy. Colin Kaepernick, all he did was take a knee, a peaceful protest for something that, is an issue in this world. Police brutality and, things of that nature. People are losing their lives over what he stood up for. What's so wrong with that? And, the NFL, blackballing this guy, it's just sad. It's really just sad that, we are where we are as far as race relations. We are where we are as far as, NFL players. Look at the quarterbacks that's out here, man. Like, really. Like, some of these guys, my wife told me I needed to start loosening up and go back out to Redskins Park. Like, some of these quarterbacks are bad. And, they continue to be on these rosters. They continue to make money. And, it's just like anything else. It's the buddy-buddy system. Mark Sanchez, should not be with the Redskins. He's with the Redskins because it's a buddy-buddy system. He was familiar with, a few of our coaches, and so that's what it is. It's just sad, and we have to deal with it. I was an African-American quarterback, and, I had to deal with certain things. I was never even considered, I wasn't brought to any NFL camp. I played in the CFL, and, I wouldn't trade, any of my experiences for the world. But, when you sit back and really look at it, it's just pretty much sad that, people choose to work with people that they're more, I guess, comfortable with, whether it's the color of their skin, whether it's, Bobby's grandson, or what the case may be. I just think it's pretty sad, and for us to be the United States of America, I think we really look bad to other countries. So, that's kind of my take on it.
That coming from Marvin Graves, and Marvin, rightly so, to be in a situation to feel as you feel, and to look at what Colin Kaepernick has done and what that has done to his career, how choosing what he believed was right ultimately has affected what's happened in his life, and how he can move on or not move on in the NFL because of this stuff. So it's a sad day in sports to see something like this happen. It's good to see that, there are organizations like Nike that do want to see him have success, and, obviously are building off of it with him and finding something with him to speak about. But at the end of the day, this man fought for something that he thought was right, and ultimately it took the game away from him. And that is a hard pill to stomach. It's a hard thing to swallow, and it's an unfortunate thing about our society that desperately needs to be changed, that you shouldn't have to choose what's right over what you believe is right over your dreams and vice versa. So hopefully things will get better. Hopefully race relations, I can't believe I'm saying this in 2018, will improve, because the fact that they have to improve at all ever, especially now in 2018, over 2,000 years after Jesus, had walked this earth, it's beyond me. So it's my hope and my prayer that things get better. And, obviously that people like Colin Kaepernick don't have to feel what they're feeling right now, and to have to go through what they're going through at this moment in time, because the sadness of it all above everything is that, there's little kids that are watching this young man do what he does and go after what he's gone after. And granted, I understand people's connection with the flag and how, it was poor taste to some people, but it was never about the flag. It was always about the greater message, and if people can't see that, then they don't want to see that. So, it's just it's been an unfortunate thing, and now I just hope that times get better, not just for Colin Kaepernick, but for everybody that comes after him. So, with that being said, I kind of want to let the last note and the last message come from you on this edition of our Monday Morning Quarterback, even though we're doing it here on a Wednesday. Just what you could say about, your desire and your hopes for this country and just what you've seen and what you've learned, because, Marvin, you and I can sit here and we can talk until we're blue in the face, but unfortunately some people of different colors and different descents can't sit with one another, and it's beyond me why that's even a thing anymore. So I want to open the floor to you and let you kind of take it away from here.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, this is what I'm thinking about, Dan. There's good people and there's, bad people. People do make mistakes, and people deserve, a second chance. But I want you and the listeners to think about this. We're at a playground, and there's 15, let's say 2, 3-year-old, 4-year-olds, babies, kids, all different ethnicities, all different backgrounds, everything. When I see kids playing on the playground, it's not about their color. It's not about where they come from. It's not about where their mom or dad works. Those kids are just out there having fun. They don't care what each other look like. They don't care where the parents live or where the parents come from. So I'm saying that to say, as we all get older, there's certain things that are actually taught to us. There's certain things that are put in the media to brainwash us about another race or another ethnicity or gays or lesbians or whatever the case may be. A lot of this stuff is taught. So I think what we have to do is really take a look in the mirror, and we have to start at home and say, am I a good person? Am I giving somebody an opportunity without looking at where they come from, what their skin color is, what their dad did, what their mom did? Are we really good people? Am I a good person? Am I fair? Because when I see kids out here playing, I just see kids playing. It doesn't matter what they look like. So for me, us as grown-ups, us as supposedly the leaders, us as people that's supposed to be teaching kids how we're supposed to live in this world, we're not teaching the proper things. So the hatred, the racism, the sexism, all of this stuff is taught, man. And I think us as, grown people, older folks, it starts with us because we lead the kids. And, it's just sad. And for me, I just start with my own household. I have a wife, I have 4 daughters, and I go from there. I take care of my household, and then, anybody that I interact with, I just try to meet you at face value. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're Indian. I don't care if you're Ethiopian. I'm going to give you respect, and I hope that you can give me the same respect. Now, are we all going to be friends? No. But we can be associates of some kind, even if it's just saying hi to one another. So that's just my take on it. I just think, we all need to look in the mirror, and we all need to go to that playground and watch the kids play. And I don't see no reason why we as grown-ups can't do the same thing.
That coming from Marvin Graves, Syracuse Orange quarterback alum, speaking some true words this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, always speaking true words, but it's true, and it's real. Like you said, playground, bunch of different colors, bunch of different backgrounds, bunch of different religions, bunch of different, mom makes this money, dad makes that money, dad's home, mom's home, we have both, we're foster kid, whatever. Kids don't care when they're on a playground. Kids just want to play. When you grow up as a little kid, you look up at your mom and dad, and you look to them to see, is this wrong, is this right? And it's the mom or the dad that grabs you and says, don't play with that little boy over there. So, it's their behavior that is a learned behavior that is taught to these children who have innocent minds and innocent hearts who don't know any better. So if we want to change the world that we live in to something better, it's on us to be smarter, and it's on us to ask ourselves the questions of, why do we feel this way? Why do we treat people this way? And is there something inside of us that's damaged to the point where we need to fix it? Because children do not need to be living in a world where their parents' prejudice and sexism and racism has to be passed down. So it does come at home, and it comes with people asking themselves why. And the inability to ask themselves why shows that there's a problem in and of itself. Because if you know deep down that something is wrong, you know it's wrong. And if you're unwilling to say why, I've said this forever. People forget, they fight for so long, they forget what they're fighting about. And I feel like that's where we are as a society right now. If there's a black person who loves and cares for their family, and a white person and a brown person and a yellow person and a blue and an orange and a teal and whatever, and they all love and care for their families, they don't want to hurt anybody, they're not swearing, they're not yelling, they're not violent, then can't we all just honestly get along in the sense of having that connection? There's enough nasty in this world that I don't care what color you are. If you're a good person, you could sit on my couch. You can have dinner at my table. You can hang out with me, and you could talk with me till your face turns blue. Because the reality is, no matter where good is, you got to attach to it. No matter where good has found itself, you need to hold on to it and bring it together. So to say, well, you're a good person and I'm a good person, but you're a different color than me, so we can't hang out, is just going to continue to make this world worse and worse, because the bad people don't mind getting together for a party every once in a while. It's the people that, are good, that for some reason, they want to spread good in this world, but they spread hate at the same time. So if you really want to know how easy it is, just go open up your door, look to your neighbor across the street, and irregardless of what color they are and what this and what that and what nationality and race and religion, if they're a nice person and you're a nice person, wouldn't it be better to have both of you watching the neighborhood than both of you watching your own house and nobody else's?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
very well said, Dan.
And I appreciate it as always, because, you help to open these doors and build these bridges every day with me on the show every week that we get to talk. So it is with great pleasure and honor and gratitude that I have you here with me, Marvin, every week. And it's good to have you back, and I really honestly do appreciate the fact that you talk about the bigger message with me.
Absolutely, man, and I appreciate being on, and, Syracuse is my second home. I'm a kid from, the inner city of Washington, D.C., and I came there, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and Ivan Fears, Coach McPherson, those guys saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself, and, I'm honored to still be attached with the university, in 2018, and I graduated in 1994, so I appreciate you just as much.
Well, thank you so much for that, and thank you for those kind words, and obviously we always look forward to have you here on the show, and I look forward to speaking with you very soon this upcoming week, Marvin, and in the meantime, God bless to your Skins and continued support of Syracuse. I know you'll continue to do that as you always have, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
All right. Have a great week, man. Take care.